Okay, guys, welcome to day one of our public practice week. Surprisingly, not as mm, the buzzing of the energy, surprisingly, not as exciting as I anticipated. I think we have fairly warm crowd. I would assume that a lot of us come here would have either followed Frank's journey very thoroughly on his YouTube channel, but also this time around, I think it's also interesting how much the CC materials have been playing a part in getting us together to this point with either the podcast or some of you guys are even returning to strain with us again. I've noticed that there's familiarity in this. So maybe we'll make an interesting public practice week when we have the returning members as well as the new members coming in and sharing a space like this. So essentially, the point of this public practice week is to give a demonstration about the methodology that we're training here in CC when it comes to meditation and contemplation. And essentially, the moment that we come into this Zoom session, the training has started. We call this phase the warm-up. Now, this topic today is about posture and attitude. And one of the things about the common posture when it comes to especially meditation, right? It's like when you just come in and you find a sit and you sit real comfortably and then you close your eyes and you go ham. Like, oh, okay, let's go. Let's go. Where's the jhana? Where's the inside? All right, I'm getting absorbed. No, 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 no. We're not doing that. The reason why? Well, essentially, when we can accomplish the warm-up is that you are easing or phasing in from whatever the life condition that you have right now, all the way to the sitting portion, which we will do after the warm-up. And in all this way, you bring your anxiety, your excitement, your frustration, your hidden or a little bit suppressed, whatever, anger, sadness, grief, desperation, whatever, right? And as this phasing in, as we have an eyes open posture to sign to just ease into this new set of conditions, we develop what's called a routing. So essentially, you know your own patterns of coming from point A, so-called monkey ordinary mind, to point B, absorbed, sustain and apply attention, one focused concentration. And then later on, after the sitting portion is done, we have a cool down, which is essentially now you phase out of that absorption, slowly rerouting through the next set of conditions. Usually that is the sense of TAM comes back, what you got to do after this, what's going on with your life today. Today is Monday on my side. So after this, I don't know, maybe you guys would go enjoy Labor's Day parties or whatever, and you are already feeling some of that pressure. Okay, so in a cool down, is essentially rerouting is a chance to have a quick integration exercise, just like that. And after this chunk of warm up, sit and train and cool down, then we have the discussion, the discourse, which will later be hosted by Frank and Jace and other senior mentors from CC. But this methodology usually is quite different from what I've come to know of what's available out there. Because, a lot of times we don't even know that, oh, my meditation practice all this time has made it very difficult for me to integrate. Because, the condition that you set is you sit down in a quiet place, undisturbed, you close your eyes, and you go, you do your contemplative maneuvers, you tune into here, tune into there, and whatever. And then you open your eyes and the rush of the life comes back again. So with the eyes open posture, essentially now you're allowing the entire set of causing conditions to start to just come out. And of course, we'll have routing to get to a certain point today, but just that this is our starting point, right? This is exactly where you are right now, the so-called present moment. Are you stressed? How's your shoulders? Do you sit a little bit tilted forward or too much leaning backward? All these things about posture, right? Essentially, it's like an imprinted form that you carry around because of your life conditions, your habits so far. And some of us have like chronic uh, back tension just because of how much stress you've been holding on all this time, and you may not even know it at times how stressed you are. Or some of us is could be too loosey goosey, and when you ask to be seated upright in something like this for more than 30 minutes, you feel dreadful. You feel like, oh, that's a little bit too much. I don't know if I can do it. Yeah. So all these habits form posture, not just the physical posture, but also what I mentioned as mental posture, or sometimes we know as attitude. Because at times when we come here, a lot of us have certain attitudes, right? One attitude could be, um, what's up with all this talking? This is kind of strange. How is it, how is it relevant to like the insights or like the that practice that I did or this practice that I'm having right now? Like the attitude of trying to connect the dots, which is very normal and functional, of course, for us to have as modern human beings who live a functional life. We need to be able to connect the dots, see how the pictures comes together and all that thing. But the problem is, can you stop it? Like so-called, can you just rest? Can you just be yourself right now without that added pressure of trying to make sense of this? Maybe some of you guys are now coming in and like opening up the notebooks and starting to jot down these things. Like, bro, I'm not that sophisticated. This is very simple. And it's also recorded so you can watch it again. Um, yeah, or I don't know, maybe some of us also have certain attitude that comes from more of a type of desperation, especially when you have gone through a lot of hardship in your life. You're very familiar with suffering, but a lot of the things that you've been doing so far is not that effective in alleviating your suffering. Then come with this desperation of wanting this session, this CC, or these people, or whoever to fix you, fix your life, help you, save you. And then there's desperation of wanting to cling, and then having that attitude coming here and have the posture of wanting to find your savior in that way. Yeah, having that kind of desperation, which is, of course, sometimes that attitude can give rise to the practice of devotion, the practice of having faith in the uncertainty, in the unknown, in a higher power. But also a lot of time that just comes as a very strong, greedy, appropriating force. You want to make that teacher into your agenda. You're gonna help me in that way. Yeah, so this mental posture, these attitudes, so to speak, affect your physical posture. You can't sit that still because it seemingly this is not relevant to what you're thinking about. And that mental posture literally generate a sense of enclosed captivity that you can only think about these ideas. What you think about spirituality, what you think about awakening, what it should looks like. Oh, it should look like bliss. It should look like good with the capital G when you're just kind of like exalted. You've been uplifted and you feel pity in your body. And you read somewhere that says that, okay, that's the first jhana. You got it. You keep going. And as you keep going enough, like there's a sense of like the body dissolves, it opens up, you feel infinite space, and you go all the way until like, oh, you just keep letting go, keep letting go. And you poof, oh, I have a cessation. Now I'm a stream enterer. Right? All these ideas about how it should be is literally providing you a script. And the moment the script doesn't fit what's going on, we feel anxious, restless, or very quickly just lose attention. Like just like, oh, how long is it going to keep talking? Yeah, but that's just to show how much the mental posture, our attitude when it comes to training is so ingrained, you can't think any other way. So in that case, yes, sure, all of us coming here have had meditative experience before. Maybe a lot of us have done retreats, extensive practices, go for teachers, different communities. All of that is true. But when you really look down into the mental posture and all the things that's running our totality, are we really that different from the non-practitioners out there? Are we really better than them? Yeah, sure, we could do some maneuvers and generate some pretty nice states. And to them, I don't know, friends and family can, especially the ones who have looked at you and like, oh man, how can you do it? Those kind of things. Sure, we can feel pretty good with those kind of perspective, but then that leads to the conceit of the spiritual practitioner, of even saying it's spiritual to divorce the situation from whoever else. And that one another aspect why it's so hard to integrate because we just keep counting our gains. You just keep making a log out of every single sit, every single insight you have without the proper digestion and the proper metabolization so you're free to live your damn life. Instead of just, oh, I'm a good spiritual practitioner. I can do jhanas now. Yeah. But of course, I understand the other side of the integration is people around us don't get this. They're not interested. And we have a deep love for this topic. And yeah, for whatever reason, this longing has never left us. And through thick and thin, um, to all these different phases in our life, a lot of us, this has been the one singular common thread, that longing, that attitude to want to know more. Yeah. So from that perspective, coming together like this and having this kind of space can be very precious because we could have lived years of not being understood, of being gaslit by friends and family. Like, oh, you still doing that thing, that meditation thing? Okay. Like, oh, can you teach me a little bit of that? And we know damn sure that they're not interested the way you are interested in these things. And a lot of times you want to help them, right? And it's getting very frustrated that they can't reciprocate that level of interest. So a lot of us have been walking this path alone, coming to this point, understandably frustrated and perhaps lonely. Yeah, but what if we also take the mental posture of that's not your problem. Let them deal with that. You just live your life. You can still talk with people, engage with them, yeah, with an open posture. So then we see that there is perhaps a lot of improper posture and attitude when it comes to these practices. The need to grasp, the need to get to the point, on that rushing, on that previously unaware physical tension that you hold that contorted you, straitjacket you into a certain script. And they're all these attitudes that enclose and make sure literally make your cognitive range just extremely narrow. Like you're only aware of this much, right? So all these improper postures, how do we open it up? Well, in CC, one of the ways that we've been improving is that previously we would assume that everybody already knows this. Like all these things about posture, how to sit and how to have an open attitude when it comes to relating, and you don't let the arrogance get the best of you, but you also don't let the shy, timid mask itself to be true humility. We assume everybody knows this stuff, and I think that's not very skillful. There's definitely a lot of improvement to be made in terms of how do we actually bring out all these correct posture when it comes to the mindset of how you sit down and the mindset of how you walk the path. Otherwise, very quickly, people get stuck in two type of fundamental dispositions. Right? One would be the type that just go after shining objects and not seeing like, oh, you make awakening into a new golf. Instead of golfing in the weekend, now you do retreats. It's the same thing, bro. It's the same mechanism for you. You just see a shining object, you want to achieve it, you put in the work. And so either golf, fixing your car, meditating, doing retreats, it's still that mechanism of I want that shiny thing. Let me have it. This great desire to have more and more and more and more. Right? All these posture leads to that type, or the other type of disposition is then you have one thing that will work ultimately. I'm going to find that one thing that's going to fix everything. Right? Some of us have I don't know, maybe through Frank's journey, you watch it, or through whatever kind of media you have been consumed about contemplation, non-duality, all these different circles, and you see, okay, that realization thing, that's gonna fix everything. That's gonna fix my marriage problem. Yes, yes, yes. That thing gonna fix it. If I have that thing, if I have that big bang, like oh, 360, then I will no longer have to worry about how my kids are doing in their high school. Like we don't think like that, but mechanistically, it is kind of like that. You put all your bags in a basket in the face of total uncertainty. You say, this is a certain thing. I'm gonna base my entire life on this. Yeah, so we say that it's substantializing reality, making one thing true, and from that one thing, you would ripple everything else. Right? So both of these kind of disposition, constantly going for the next shining object, or just clinging to one ultimate truth, or one or ultimate truth, clinging to it, not just even one, whatever, right? Because you can switch between ultimate truth. Both of these things fundamentally comes from improper postures and attitudes, pretty much. So one way to also frame this practice week is that we are training the proper postures and the proper attitude when you come and sit down like this, when you discuss later on, or when you continue to chat with other people, right? So how do we work with posture and attitude? Well, we just kind of work with your attitude a little bit just by going through those materials and see how you're feeling right now. You're getting tired, getting bored, that's okay. Just checking in and see what's going on in that way. So then the physical posture, usually the so-called best practice most likely will be a seated position in which way your channels and your structure is more supported. I'm sitting here with a little bit of back support, somewhat fairly erected while also alert. Don't want to overextend our spine like this and like she's a tough man, tough. I'm tough and I'm strict and I'm stoic. I'm not gonna move. Not necessarily. Um, the whole point is to allow there's almost like a drop of how the spine will support itself as you're sitting like this. There's many different types of hand mudras that you can do, but usually the one would go quite nicely is palms on your thighs. I've come to notice that this greatly generate the grounding effect, just getting you out of that mental proliferation So as you start doing this, your natural distribution of the so-called energy, I just say, is starting to move from your head downward a little bit. Because a lot of time we only live up here, up on the neck. A lot of things just get like overstimulated from the sense of visuals and the mental proliferation. So the point of these posture correction is to have a more balanced and flowing channel so we can actually consistently reach samatha, stillness, right? So we come in the form of sitting like this, having this posture, allowing this area to relax. And sometimes could be literally relaxing your eye muscle. Sometimes it means having the posture of your meaning making to say, stop, this is not the time. I have about 1 hour here. I'm just gonna enjoy, relax, and be in this training. And momentum will kick in, right? You will want to think again. You would want to come back to your mental proliferation, which is fine. And I'm not here to make a vegetable out of you and force you not to think. It's just to notice that there is this cycles of training, right? The cycles. It's almost like a set, like one huge workout and one set in it. And we see how as you are placing your hands here, allowing the relaxation in the head center, it will want to kick back in. If we recognize that's just the momentum of your habit, then you're like, okay, reground, reground. And the grounding aspect here is almost like drawing the energy downward with the breath. By the way, we're still doing all of this with eyes open. So by this time, if you still open your eyes, you can literally see how the space is becoming different. That could just mean that I'm not thinking as much. That's so interesting. Of course, that's the thought, but like we're saying, this thought is coming from a different attitude, a curious one, an investigative one, inquiring. Now, we are using the breath in this particular case to be the regulators of our posture. Because one of the things that makes like sitting upright and you just lock yourself in that posture and you don't know how to work your breath, it becomes very rigid, very tired real fast because you have no regulation. So the regulators as the breath essentially is you're resting your attention on the rhythm of your breath. That could mean that if your head center momentum is very strong, you intentionally put your attention now to the heart center and breathing with that entire center. Now feeling that to be expanding, contracting. So as we're working with this different so-called physical posture, we also constantly examine our mental posture, our attitude. We see how there is thoughts arising, there is resistance arising, and this is bullshit, this is boring. Just whatever the resistance show up as. And we just continue to regulate with the breath. Like, okay, I have this pattern. And we just continue to sit. And then we see that as we regulate through those poor mental posture, those poor attitude, we are purifying our condition. Instead of being hooked into those loops of thoughts, loops of emotionality, we regained a little bit of ourselves. Our range of cognition is a little bit more free to roam. And with this freedom to roam, we can use the breath as the mediator, almost mediator, to whichever area of the physical posture is right now out of whack. It's kind of whack. And breathe from there. And allowing the mental posture to flow through without hooking you into their drama, their noise. And that will be the training of today. So if you haven't, let's close our eyes and sit and regulate our posture and attitudes. it is also a poor attitude to want to hoard meditative experiences, to want to cling on to them. If we fall for this trap, we can't help but to carry on with the fantasy of wanting to be somewhere more mystical. And we may not be able to examine our own aversion to living our life. So in a cool down process, even before you open your eyes, you can reroute and welcome back with new vigor, with new energy, with a fresher body, a fresher mind, having been worked on. Welcome back the responsibilities, the duties, the challenges of your life. Welcome back the people that you have to deal with, that you have to be with. So then we don't even need to try to remember whatever insights we just had. We just got to live them. When the insight is genuine and the realization is thorough, the cool down is essentially the bridging of integration. As we welcome back our normal state, there's a chance to develop another attitude, a new relationship. If you was once too harsh, now is a chance to choose to be a little bit more gentle. If you were once too soft, now is a chance for you to choose to be more determined. If you were once too confused, now is a chance to choose to be curious. And as we open our eyes, similarly to how we start the session with just eyes open, taking in the room, the space that we're in, being in this in-between state, in this bottle, which is just going through a meditative experience. So that's still fresh, but you also know that your life is rolling on. You're about to do something else now. You're about to jump into discussion. You're about to talk, about to listen to other people. And this in-between state could be very interesting. This is also a portion that sometimes we just skip over. We did our little meditation and then set a timer. Boop. Okay. Back to something else. This bandwidth of this bottle is not explored. Yeah, so if we can manage this, the integrative muscle becomes so much more familiarized. And as we accomplish this warm up, the sit, and the cool down, all of these phases essentially then become our chance to cultivate generosity. Can you be open? Can you be generous with your time and attention to sit here and explore with your fellow practitioners what it means to meditate and what it means to contemplate on this life. You cultivate attentiveness. You check your body very thoroughly. You check your mental proliferation. You pay attention instead of trying to drift in or out to someplace else or anywhere but here. You let them all come. You gather them all. You attend to them. You attend to your own disturbances until become peace. And through that process, we generate and we cultivate patience, which is not trying to get anywhere else but here and come on the fluxing of here. And we know that as we train like this, we can develop a muscle, be able to endure and withstand difficulties, hardships, emotional difficulties, cognitive difficulties. And then we have the confidence to be diligent, to put in the work. Right effort is when this practice starting to be invigorating, starting not necessarily the dread factor is not too much so that it's get way too overwhelmed, but you also know you're putting in the reps, right? That sweet spot of diligence. And as that the cycle goes, and every single reps, every single set, every single training session, you gain a little bit more stability, becoming more stable. And with the stability of samatha, the vipassana, the split consciousness can observe itself, leads to an insight of self-emptiness realization. So then just depends on how much you were able to be generous with this space, how much you were able to attend, how much you were able to be patient, how much you were able to enjoy exerting, putting in the reps, going on set and set and set and set in that 40 minutes, 30 minutes, something that we sit together. Some of you guys could have been doing 5 sets, 6 sets. Some of you, if you're new to this, could probably barely do even 1 clean set. Your breath was just all over the place. And then you know. And of course, all these accumulation then get tested in a dynamic setting where you discuss with other people. So you know where your fitness, how much of it can it actually land when it comes to life with other people. So this discussion space not only will make sense of what just happened on these materials, but also a type of a dojo for us to show our kung fu, pretty much. But so this is day 1. We have 4 more days of this. Thank you guys for training with me. And now I'll leave the space for Frank, Jace, Albert, and other mentors and other senior members from CC to facilitate discussion. Thank you.